The moment you face it, you can barely breathe. A canvas over 2 meters tall, capturing every pore, every rough whisker with relentless precision. Without realizing it, you take a step closer. Wait, is this a photograph? The second that thought crosses your mind, your feet are already moving toward the painting. But the moment you get close, the photographic precision you trusted collapses. The face disappears. And in its place, thousands of tiny grids rush at you. You're disoriented, amazed. And then quietly a question surfaces. Why did this person paint a face by breaking it into pieces? Today's look into is 척클로스, the artist who inscribed his life, cell by cell, into a grid. From afar, it's a single eye, but step closer, one step, then two. And each cell reveals an entirely different face. Some are round, some spiral. The colors vary wildly, not skin tones, but layers of red, blue, and yellow dots stacked on top of each other. It looks like a mosaic tile, or a cell viewed under a microscope. And at this point you might wonder, was all of this planned, or did it just happen? Every bit of it was planned. Close divided his canvas into a uniform grid, then filled each cell one by one. His tools and techniques shifted from work to work, but this method never changed for his entire life. The reason we find ourselves drifting back and forth in front of his painting, that is exactly the experience 척클로스 intended. Depending on where you stand, the work speaks an entirely different language. This wasn't just a technique. It was the way he saw life. The truth is, he had a secret. 척클로스 lived his entire life with prosopagnosia, face blindness. The face of someone he'd just shaken hands with, even the faces of his own family, would vanish from memory in an instant. He once walked right past his wife on the street without recognizing her. Does that grid look a little different to you now? His compulsive, enormous, relentless dissection of the face wasn't just a stylistic choice. Breaking eyes, noses, and lips into thousands of grid cells and pressing them into canvas, that was, for him, the most desperate way to remember the people he loved. But the trials didn't stop there. In 1988, at 48, 척클로스 suffered a sudden spinal blood clot and was left almost entirely paralyzed. He couldn't move a finger. Anyone would have thought it was the end. But he strapped a brush to his wrist and began filling the grid again. After the paralysis, his grids actually grew richer and more free. Circles replaced straight lines. Multiple colors filled a single cell. The hand he could no longer control breathed new life into his work. Now let's return to stand before this painting. A man who couldn't recognize faces painted faces. A man who lost the use of his hands painted with his hands. And in every single cell of that grid lives the desperate effort to remember and the will to never stop. Now that you know his story, how does this face look to you? Limitation can become the language of art. Someone who looked more intently because he couldn't recognize. Someone who painted more fiercely because he couldn't move. Chuck Close's grid isn't a technique aimed at perfection. It's a portrait of a person who refused to give up. Don't try to analyze it. Just stand before it. Look into each cell, and you'll feel the breath of someone who was truly alive. This was Chuck Close, the artist who spent his life filling a grid to remember and to never stop.